Welcome back to A Human Element, a podcast series putting our people at the centre of everything we do. Throughout this series, we'll meet fascinating individuals involved in transformation journeys and driving high-performing teams. We'll explore how they motivate and engage both themselves and those around them, focusing on well-being and resilience. We live in a world of constant change with rapidly evolving technology, and we're always striving to do more with less. A Human Element will slow things down, reduce the noise, and talk openly about the challenges we're all facing. A community that places our people at the centre of everything we do. Chris Iwanowski and I continue our conversation on Allianz's transformation journey over the last couple of years. Hello again.
Hello.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be really good to welcome you back in. Obviously, Chris Iwanowski, CTO of Allianz. We were just discussing before we started recording. We actually first sat down over a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it would be opportune to kind of take a moment to pause, reflect, and I guess look at your journey over the last 12 months. Bit of a retro, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess today I just really wanted to focus on, I guess, what you've learned from the last 12 months. Appreciate you're very busy, so thanks for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. What I really learned from the last 12 months, I think, so the first thing is about being relentless. And if you're really convinced that something can work, and if you have early indication signs that it can, then you should just work away at it and live with the fact that there is going to be some doubt creeping in and self-doubt. You'll get rewarded if you're not giving up, right? So you have to question whether you're on the right track, because sometimes you're sitting on a dead horse and you don't know, right? So you have to make sure that that's not the case. But as long as that is not the case, it's basically a question of not giving up and being persistent and stubborn to a degree. And usually that gets you there. Plus, of course, you cannot ignore that you need a little bit of luck. You know, some stars have to align perfectly and need to come together. But you can also work just a little bit on the probability of those stars aligning perfectly. And as long as you're shifting the probability just a little bit in your favor, that's usually enough. So I think to me, that was a very encouraging journey, because when we last met, January last year, we had not gone live with anything. We were just working away at the general structures, the architecture of our solution, code development, requirements definition. Delays kept creeping into our roadmap. And I think it would have been very easy for everybody, not just myself, but the team, my peers, my boss, our headquarters in Europe, to lose faith and to lose trust in what we're doing. But we didn't do that. And that required a lot of work and a lot of convincing ourselves that we were on the right track and that we were not working away at something that is inherently flawed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of talk about that, sort of cliched expression of like trusting the process. But sometimes it's knowing when the process is actually the right process, because you could just blindly follow something and be thinking, oh, we just need to back this and get behind this, and trust this process. But if it's not the right process, then it obviously needs pivoting.
Yes.
And I imagine there's been a few occasions where you've had to pivot and, reflect, pause, take away some key learnings. It wouldn't have been a straight line. I'm sure there's been some bumps along the way.
Of course, yeah.
Probably more than you'll admit to or allude to. But, I guess there's a level of like vulnerability with that as well, to know that, okay, well, we need to tweak this, or we need to turn the needle on this, or make small incremental adjustments. But I guess at a baseline, the consistency is key, right?
The consistency, yes, and also a very high degree of transparency.
Yeah.
So earlier in my career, I was reluctant, almost afraid of admitting that I don't know, or
making a badge of honor.
Yeah, or making mistakes, right? Because I guess many people have been brought up in this same regime, right? You're young, you're going to school, you learn something, you put pen to paper, and you're being told, was it good or was it bad? Was it wrong or was it right?
Pass or fail.
And that creates a problematic relationship with failure in general, and also with not knowing, right? Because if you have a verbal or a written exam, what is the answer "I don't know" worth? I don't know is the same as failure.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you write something down that's wrong, that gets you no points. If you just write down "I don't know," then you also get no points, right? It's the same thing.
You have to give that textbook answer.
Yeah, you have to reproduce the textbook answer, and that puts you on the spot. And I think, to a certain degree, when you do that with young people for a very long period in their lives, all the way through high school, university, or whatever apprenticeship you're doing, then you have this problematic relationship with failure, or with the phrase "I don't know." And today, I must say, I have no longer any reluctance to say "I don't know," rather than coming up with an answer that is wrong, or covering up any form of mistakes. Today, I really feel comfortable with saying "I don't know, but it is a very valid question. I will take it away, and I will find an answer to this."
Yeah.
If it's a valid question, if it's important.
Or you'll leverage off someone in your team who does know.
Of course. That's exactly what I mean, right? But you shouldn't be reluctant to do that. That's number one. And number two, failure. The only pathway to not produce a mistake is by not getting up in the morning and not starting to do something. Once you start doing something, there will be failure, there will be mistakes, right? And don't get me wrong, not getting up in the morning is also not a good solution, right? So you're avoiding immediate mistakes, but you create a different problem set. So only teams and people who are getting up and start working at something and trying to find a solution to a challenge, they will eventually produce some form of failure.
Yeah.
And then it's very important to rephrase that for oneself and for the team, to go, no, that's not there is no such thing. We just learned something. We learned that this was not a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So now we have to find a better way.
Because what do you learn when everything's plain sailing and everything's harmonious?
Yeah, and I think I'm very pleased when I go to the childcare facility that my two boys are going to. My older son Nicholas, he's just recently joined a school, so he's now in kindy, right? And when I look at those concepts, the kids, the early life education right now is pivoting to that idea of
more of a spectrum.
It's okay to have to get it wrong. At least you tried, and then now you have to make the next step, right? Because just showing up all the time and producing mistakes over and over is also not a good solution, right? So I want you to show up, not be afraid. When you are running into a mistake or into a challenge, please accept that as part of the process. Log it away. So basically make a retro.
Yeah.
Understand what the problem was. Where did we make the wrong turn? And then ideally, don't redo that mistake again. Right? Learn from it.
And it brings a sense of control.
Yeah.
And I guess I use the word momentum because if you feel like you've got a sense of control and, you look at what's working, what's not working, and you pivot when you need to, then it does create momentum. And I think where, and you used an important word there as well, like fear. I think fear holds a lot of people back from either, to your point, not getting out of bed or just feeling like they have to do something, and not really putting a lot of thought into that and just being a bit frantic and I think, there's a calmness to success breeding success and building momentum. And, obviously you had the first release, you learned a lot from that. You copy and pasted what you needed to copy and paste, you remove what you didn't need. You did a second release, and that brings comfort in your own skin, right? As a team and for yourself. But where I think people go wrong is if there's fear and pressure, they either don't act or they just feel like they need to act and do something completely wrong and off-piste.
Yeah, so that's very true, and I think that is probably also something that I've learned. It's absolutely fascinating what success and really having these breakthrough moments. So in July last year, we took our platform live for the first time in all of the Allianz operating entities worldwide. And not only did we take it live, the solution was and is immensely stable. So it's no comparison to what we used to have in our legacy systems. And because it's so stable and because we put in so much thought and work to make it very easy for our customers and for our employees, the KPIs that it produces, the growth, the ease of use, the customer satisfaction, they are off the charts. We knew before we went live that it was good. We were still a bit anxious about the performance once live, and also, of course, of the go live weekend, right? And there were a lot of bumps along the way. Then we had this huge breakthrough, and it's totally amazing to me what that does to people and to a team, and how everybody took pride in that success. And then we had to take little bits and pieces and put it into another, I would say, small to medium-sized release afterwards, right? We just called it a fast follower release. And we were able to then deliver on that as well last year. And at the same time, the teams were already working on the release for our motor product that was planned for February this year. And you could feel how much calmer the team was. Everything that we had to do leading up to that go live, the testing phases, they were all going smoothly. And most importantly, when you are on this track, there come situations where your dashboards are not looking great. Something doesn't work. Incidents are rising. They are not getting fixed as quickly as they should. Your milestone plan gets a little bit of stress. And then usually people tend to look at traffic lights, right? You're going through a traffic light phasing. That's just very, very simple, and everybody understands it, right? And then you can see your traffic lights going from green to yellow to orange, almost touching the red zone there. But on the second release, everybody was completely calm. There was no finger pointing. Finger pointing is something that people do, and it's driven by fear. Something is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Something is happening that's not good. Please don't have this problem attached to me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it can't be attached to me, so it must be someone else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then everybody has that reaction. But because we worked through that in the first release, and we jointly agreed there is no them and us, there's just us. And we are all in the same boat. And we were actually able to hold on to that promise that we made to ourselves.
Yeah.
No finger pointing. We just came together and we said, okay, obviously there's a challenge. Where does it lie? Do we understand it fully?
Yeah.
Who needs to be called in to work on this now? And what is it specifically that needs doing? And then we get onto it. And then we have made this joint effort of driving the traffic lights back from orange to yellow to green.
Yeah.
And then we enjoy that success together.
Which means no individual has to be the hero. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's almost like rowing a boat.
Yeah. Individual.
You're all lined up. Like,
exactly.
as a team.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. The individual rower needs to give up the idea of I can win this by myself and be the sole hero of this. But what you're getting from giving up that idea is you're getting a team, and the team will now carry the success, but also the hardship together.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much easier, right? But you have to find this common mindset, and everybody needs to chime in and sing from that same songbook.
Yeah, and at times one person might have to row a little bit harder than some others, but it averages out, I guess, over the whole journey. So
yes,
and I guess it creates a subliminal kind of message that, you know, leave your ego at the door. Like, no one's bigger than the team.
Yeah. So I think if you're running a large transformation, and these days many people do, right? Sometimes it's not even called that. I think there's one specific form of behavior that you have to penalize immediately, which is not showing up when things go hard and then running on the field once everybody is celebrating. If you have someone on your team or in your wider group, immediately penalize that. You can't have that.
No.
It is a behavior that needs to be driven out of high-performing teams. You cannot have that.
The glory hunters.
The glory hunters, yeah, that's a good word. I didn't know that word, so thank you for thanks for teaching me that.
It's quite a common sporting phrase, I guess.
Yeah, and that is so because that behavior is so destructive for team spirit. I'd really rather use that word because it's used a little too often these days. But that is really toxic.
Yeah.
So we labeled too many things as toxic these days, but that is really it.
Yeah. I think when I look at the setup of your team, I would say, like, you've recruited well, but you've also molded that team culture, that sense of camaraderie. Like, when you meet a lot of people in your team, like, there's definitely like common denominators. Like, everyone's got up to their own individual characters and skills and whatever, but there's sort of like a common thread that flows through all of those people, and they're all, I would say, high performers with growth mindsets, with high care factors.
Yeah.
With a a lot of goodwill towards the team and its success. I think, you kind of struck really well with that bunch of people, I would say.
Yeah, I feel that too, and thanks for noticing that. But in large transformations, it's not just your team.
No.
So you have to find a way to find that common ground with everybody you are collaborating with.
And there will be friction, but as we've discussed before, friction's not always a bad thing. There's such a thing as healthy friction to drive things forward. Everyone's, you hire people to have a voice and an opinion, right?
Yeah.
So you want people to bring ideas, and that might conflict with other people's ideas. But if everyone just agrees with each other all the time, I don't think that creates a very good culture either.
No.
And there's a lot of teams out there that have a very sort of yes person. I say yes person rather than yes man, but yes man or woman type culture where it's just like, yes sir, how high sir, and how, like, where does that get you? Because when you're hiring these people and paying them good money, like, you want them to have a voice, right? And obviously you don't want them to be destructive and cause too many issues, but you need them to bring something to the table. Yeah,
sure. I mean, there must be a safe space for raising your voice, for raising conflict, and also doubt. Right? I mean, if you cannot voice doubt or anger or conflict, it will just sit there and boil and become more. So the only thing that you can do to get that dealt with is you have to get it out there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have to create a common understanding that there's a time and a place for raising your voice, voicing doubt, anger, frustration. It's probably before common ground is reached and established. You cannot rip that open again, for example, a week away from go live.
No.
Right? That's too late, right? So please also have some respect for the team.
Yeah.
In voicing your doubt, voicing your anger, frustration, whatever it is, early, so we can deal with it.
And constructively and
solution focused. Yeah. Please don't disrespect everybody's good work by reopening conversations that everybody worked so hard in closing.
Yeah.
At some point, this team, even though it might not have been your opinion from the start, at some point, if you want to be part of this team, you have to have that opinion as well.
Yeah.
At least come to terms with it and work for the common goal.
Yeah. And even worse, like after the event.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when things go wrong, right? I told you so. No. Well, no, that is not the time now, right? Because it creates negativity in the team, and that is harming your growth path.
Yeah.
Immensely.
Yeah.
But then it is so much better, I guess, if it doesn't come to these big catastrophic failure events, right? And then it's just great and wonderful to see the team thriving on it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
there's so much pride there. Like, obviously, like when you hit the first milestone in July, there's just such a good buzz, such a good good factor amongst everyone.
Yeah, and you can also see it in our surveys that we're doing, right? So we are doing 3 quarterly pulse surveys where we just have a little feel for the temperature in the teams, and then we do one major survey that takes a lot of questions from everyone to really have a great overview year over year of how our employees are doing and what the common mindset is and the satisfaction.
So important.
It is important, and it is also fascinating how all of this gets a lift. Not just a couple of questions on, do you feel pride in what you're doing? Because you would expect, we just had a tremendous success followed by another one. You would expect those survey answers to rise. But you can feel just this general uplift, right? Even with topics that feel unrelated to the business success there, right?
Yeah.
People just have this immense general uplift.
Yeah.
In how they deal with that, and that is just, or how they engage, and that is so good.
Body language is more positive.
Yeah, and then you have to really find a way to carry that momentum forward.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest influences that you can have is you have to acknowledge. You have to, because it's so easy these days to just acknowledge a little bit and then jump to the next topic because, you have your timeline, your milestones, your roadmap. You have to find time to stop and think and then act out that pride and that acknowledgement for the team.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just feels as if you're doing it for nothing. Right?
Yeah.
So the team needs to have that release moment, that where everybody can breathe that sigh of relief and we made it, and I can really acknowledge and stop and feel how good that feels, right? And then once you have that, people are even more motivated to have that same feeling again.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have
people crave it.
Remember, you crave it, right? And you just want that. And once you do, you have to reward that moment and acknowledge, and then hopefully you drive the team to the next moment where that can be felt.
And then when you actually see the benefits realization in terms of customer feedback and the impact it has on customers, because that's not, beat around it, that's what you're doing it for. Like, obviously, it's great that you've got all this inward positivity, but ultimately the outcome to be achieved is improve customer satisfaction. And I actually think a lot of people lose sight of that as well. But a lot of people get very bogged down with, the specifics of what they're doing and maybe even like the methodology around what they're doing.
Yeah.
But not really thinking about what the customer impact is.
There is nothing better. And that's what I'm craving, by the way. And it's one of the big drivers in my life. I want to deliver something that impacts people's life. So either a customer that comes to our place and wants to buy insurance for themselves and their families, and they actually feel the massive amount of thought and dedication that went into designing it, so it feels natural, easy to work with, and to then go to one of our customer excellence centers and listening in to the customer interactions on the phone or reading some emails, right? And to find the customers that acknowledge that. Oh, that was so easy, right? And I was able to completely understand it, right? And I had a claim, and I was dreading the moment where I come to your website and lodge the claim with you, and the questions and everything is so tedious, right? And then it wasn't, and it was really easy, right? And I got great information from your system, from your staff, and they always kept me up to date. I knew what was happening and when it is going to be resolved, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to feel that. And at the same time, when you are in these in the call centers, I always try and listen to some of the customer calls and get really live feedback on how it's working and how much it improves. And then I also, of course, I talk to the employees who are handling these calls and these emails. And I'm really interested in how they feel, because they are handling multiple of those every day. And I want to know, do you feel that improvement, right? And
that brings positive energy.
Absolutely,
because they're not just apologizing all the time. They're working with the customer, and it's a good, like, harmonious relationship rather than being on the back foot. And then if you're constantly apologizing, then it doesn't make you feel good about where you work. In reality.
And also, people who apply for a job in a claims call center, for example, or who started their career with us and then maybe somewhere different, and then they are drawn towards the call center topic, the frontline customer engagement. It's usually very attractive to people who already have a great care factor in them, right? Because if you don't want to care for people and for their problems, then why would you touch it, right? No. So but it's really good because they are then so proud of being able to help, because that's all they want to do, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to say no
or put out fires.
Yeah. And that's so good if we can actually make a difference there. Yeah. And what I've also learned, when you're a leader for these transformations, and you go to the customer care center, or you speak with people who are handling the customer calls, you have to make that selection of who to talk to completely random. You have to randomize that.
Yeah.
Because
it's not pre-prepared.
Yes. You want it raw. Because people want to please, right? And if I'm saying, well, I'm the guy who leads the team who has built this, tell me about this, the immediate reaction is, again, there's a little fear component in there, right? Okay, so I have to say something now that's good, right? How will I make that person feel who is leading this stuff here? If I tell them, well,
mystery shopper.
There's some of this is good, but there are some kinks in the system, right? Can we talk about this too? And by randomizing that, you at least can try and feel that out, right? And because I want honest feedback, right? Just give me honest feedback, and give me, especially, I'm interested. I always say this to people. I say, look, if I wasn't convinced that the system we are building is good, I probably would have built it differently.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's not
please tell me where I got it wrong. Because I need to know that. Yeah. Right? And don't think that you're doing me a favor by telling me how good it is. I need to know where did we miss something? Where could we have done better? Where's still this kink in the process that we need to iron out? Right?
You need feedback loops.
Yes.
Up, down, sideways.
Yes.
And that again comes down to vulnerability, right? And not everyone promotes that culture of openness and feedback. Like, sometimes people just don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. Because it might create a problem, and means someone has to do something about it. And obviously, I think it's quite helpful for you, having been through that whole life cycle. Like, you've been where those people have been as well. So you're almost like a relatable figure in that sense. Like, you're not someone who's just been plucked from, a transformation journey somewhere else. Like, you've organically grown through the business.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I am very grateful for the journey that I was able to do with the company. So I worked in different roles and responsibilities all throughout the business. So I have experience in product creation, underwriting, claims, and process design, sales. I started my the Allianz part of my career in sales, and I've never worked in the actuary, but I'm a mathematician by training, so at least the topic is not strange to me.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully that's one thing that I can bring to the team, which is that almost everybody, no matter which part of the value chain you're working on, you can come to me and you'll probably find someone who at least has a good notion of what you're talking about. So if you are working on our claims journeys, you can expect me to have a good understanding of that. And if you're working on the product creation side, you can expect me to have a good enough understanding of how we are building our products and what is important.
How do you feel like you've changed as a leader? How have you transformed as a leader?
Yeah, I think I'm much calmer today than I was before. But that doesn't come from this idea that I have the feeling that I know everything, or that it's everything that I touch turns into success. That's not the case, right? There's still a lot of doubt, right? But I think I have found a good way over time to deal with that, and to be just very open to other ideas and being led as a leader as well. I think that has changed. And earlier in my career, I jumped to conclusions quite quickly. And today I'm much more open to hearing different ideas and looking at facts rather than strong opinions.
Yeah.
Today I'd rather have a slightly weak fact base instead of strong opinions. That was not always the case.
Because you got a body of work behind you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've quite often seen that my first inclination and opinion was wrong. And again, the moment you realize that is not problematic or a failure, then you can just accept that as part of the process of getting it right. I think that has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Early in my career, I was emphasizing know-how, knowledge quite high, and I still do. But you have to be a good person first.
Yeah.
Today, I would say I don't care how much knowledge and know-how you're bringing to the team. If you're just in general not a good person, I'd rather not have you. And I will get to a solution with someone who has 5% less skill, but at the same time 30% more team IQ, right?
Soft skills.
Soft
fire
skills,
in the belly.
Fire in the belly, a good, helpful attitude.
Yeah.
And a general love, for lack of a better word, appreciation of people. That's much more important to me now. That has changed dramatically.
Things that are hard to measure and hard to observe on paper, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a level of skill in your team, really. You have to have a level of will as well.
Yeah, will and empathy, care, team effort over just success.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to me today.
And that sort of helps to shape how you show up as a leader, right? Because you are literally a leader, not just a manager who is managing through numbers. That you're.
I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the distinction, like, and I think good leaders, know when to put an arm around the shoulder, know when to give people a bit of a prod to say, come on, like, and sometimes, for want of a better phrase, sometimes people just need a bit of a punch on the nose to wake up. Not a literal one,
no.
But that moment where you go, oh, like I've been drifting here. I need to perk up.
Yeah. So I've over the last 20 years, I've worked for a handful of really good leaders. Yeah, it probably fits on one hand, right? Of people where I worked for them and it felt really good. And I consider myself already quite grateful that I can talk about 3 to 5 people in 20 years that I've encountered where I go, that was a really good experience.
Yeah.
Right? I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to meet these people at the right time, and then they decided to invest in me and in my growth. And I feel, very lucky in that regard. And I am looking constantly for ways to somehow pay that back. Not to them, because they don't need anything, but I would like to pay it forward. And so that is all that when I think about me as a leader or a manager, I just try to pay that forward by taking good care of my people in general, and then more specifically to the ones that constantly show up with the right attitude, constantly show up with the right level of care, skill, these rare people where it's absolutely important that you invest in their growth.
Well, you naturally gravitate towards those people, don't you?
Yeah, and then if I encounter them, I really try to pay that forward. And I would hope that I can give them just a little bit of what I've received. That's a big driver.
Yeah, it's how things continuously move forward, right? I guess one of the questions I always ask people is the whole idea of like stop, start, continue, and moving into the next 12 months. Like, what would you start? What would you start again? Like, what would you continue? Are there any sort of key standouts?
Yeah. So what I would like to stop is because we were under so much pressure, right? Not by individual people or by the management or whatever, but it's a level of pressure that you put on yourself. Then it's the pressure of this program wants to do the right thing. It just can't get it off the ground. And we've invested so much work into it, and the pressure that comes from that, right? And this pressure of you want to prove that it's possible, and you want to have that breakthrough. At some point in the past 12, 18, 24 months, it felt like there was an enormous need for, I'm shying away from the word a little bit, perfection, right? Because you're never perfect, right? But of micromanaging certain situations, asking my leaders to micromanage certain situations, and be very specific and, again, stubborn in, there are things we can talk about, there are things we cannot talk about, they are not discussable. Let's please do it exactly this way because we need it to land perfectly.
Yeah.
I would like to stop that.
Okay.
Because it creates, it's almost like, let's say I have a very pristine vase that is costing a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Great porcelain, wonderful. And I just casually hand it to my kid, 5 years old. And I go, can you just take this and get it over there to mommy? Nothing's going to happen, right? They will just carry it over, casually place it there. Mommy says, thank you, you're welcome, wonderful, back to play. If I tell the kid, look, this is a very pristine vase, mommy loves it, it's apart from you, the apple of her eye. Nothing can happen to this. Now please carry it over. It's going to be shaking. Yeah. So, and I think that's so true for everybody, not just for little kids with vases. It's with everything, right? And I would like to open up a little more again for mistakes. So, I'll give you a very practical example. Almost all of our pre-go live testing, we drove all of this up to 98, 99, or 100% tick boxes. And we were very meticulous about this because we wanted the final release to be pristine.
Yeah.
Just to make a point and to prove. But obviously that's wrong. You absolutely can go live with 95%, 92%.
Yeah.
Maybe even 90%. Because
no one really knows what your image looked like.
Because if you could allow for that, right, then you can solve these little problematic stuff later.
Mm.
You could focus more on speed, velocity, right? And now the team has, I think, we have collectively grown the trust in ourselves, in the system, to actually just deal with these mistakes.
Yeah.
Right?
And level of resilience.
It's just that level of resilience needed to be built. And I think we are ready for that now. And I really want to stop being so meticulous about it, as long as it comes with positive effects elsewhere, right? It has to come, because if you're letting go of that level of strictness and rigor, if nothing else comes from it, then you've just lost that level of rigor.
Yeah.
That's not a good place. So, but if we can find a way to turn that little bit of leeway there into velocity, into experimenting more, into creating more space to maybe be creative and invent something that makes the solution even better.
Mm.
If we can do that, that would be perfect. So stop that, start this, especially now that that we are delivering our solution fully cloud-based. Mm. And we can now really experiment with our APIs and what happens if we take a certain AI capability that is living on the cloud naturally and attach that to some of our APIs. What happens there? What happens if I attach a very capable voice bot to my quote and buy journey? What happens if I give an AI agent access to certain parts of my claims journey? How does that develop? Can we experiment here? Can we work in a sandbox? And just to create this space, something else needs to give.
So almost like less fear, more bravery.
Yeah, and something else needs to give, right? And the easiest way to open up resources is to allow a little bit of space in the perfectionism.
Yeah, and you allow people to elevate in their own roles as well.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is something that we started already to experiment there, and that is something that I would like to continue.
Yeah, and that comes from a position of strength because you've got your baseline.
Yeah.
everything else is value adding toppers, so to speak. Like they're enhancers, and I don't know where the statistic comes from. Like it's well churned out on LinkedIn. Like 80% of transformations fail, and I don't know where it comes from. Someone's studied it, someone's worked it out. That's also relying on everyone admitting that they've failed. But I guess what I was going to say is like, I can only imagine the people that are failing are literally like your boy with the vase, like just quivering messes, like, oh my God, I'm going to get this wrong. Or, and that just, it really like leaves you hamstrung, right? And then how do you break that cycle of negativity? Because it's just spiraling. It has a spiraling degenerative effect. Like
there's two hearts beating in my chest right now when I think about a statistic like that, right? And I'm not gonna assume anything here and where it comes from and whatever. I think the most important thing is that we need to acknowledge to a certain degree that is quite normal, not just in transformation, but everywhere.
Very true.
So if you look at soccer players who have made it to the top of their leagues, it's easy to look at them and go, oh, I would have liked to do that as well. But they are representing something. They are representing probably millions of people who at some point have tried.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's the question of how many people do you count as having actually tried it?
Yeah.
But if you count me, my parents at one point, being born in Germany, my parents obviously tried out, maybe he likes soccer, right? So they put me into soccer. I think I invested probably less than 50 hours in my soccer career. And then I realized the question is that failure?
Yeah.
Right? But if you count all of them, all of the people who have tried becoming good at soccer, then the ratio is probably even worse, much worse. Right?
Yeah.
What do you count as success? Does it have to be the first league? Does it have to be an international league? Is it enough to be in the third league of your country, right? So if you play,
or even just to play for your local team.
If play with your local team, and have a good time at it, right? So
that's what it's all about.
What do you define as success? What do you define? Who do you count in all the failures, right? You can play around with that 80-20 ratio as much as you like.
Yeah.
And you can argue for 1 to 99, and you can make an argument for 60-40.
Depending on back to the start of the conversation.
Exactly. So, but I think the most important thing is to acknowledge that most things we do end up in failure or in people giving up, right? So it's not that problematic.
It's actually not groundbreaking.
No,
statistic.
It's very normal for things to not go well.
Yeah.
You look at people who have enormous business success. Who are they representing? Everybody who has a job, right?
And most of those people have failed at some point.
Yeah, and exactly. And then they dealt with it and got up and tried again, right?
Yeah.
And also there are a lot of people who have already tried 50 times and are still failing. That's also okay.
But are they failing because they're still trying?
Yeah, so exactly. So it's a very interesting topic. So I think let's do away with these statistics. Let's find something that we would like to improve, that we would like to be better at tomorrow. And I'm not going to go through all the wonderful life advice that you can find on YouTube. But one thing that really resonates with me is the only person you can, or the only company, the only transformation program, the only person that you can compare yourself to is the one that you were yesterday.
I totally agree.
So find something where your team, your company wants to be better tomorrow than you were yesterday, and then work at it and accept that there will be bumps on the way, there will be setbacks, and maybe the whole solution that you were thinking about when you started the journey needs to be abandoned at some point and you have to start over.
Yeah.
But at least you're doing something, and at least you're trying. That is so much more important than everything else. So
we're very black and white in the way we think, aren't we? As a society.
Yes, and at the same time, we don't really know what failure exactly is and what success exactly is.
No.
So where is that boundary there? Someone who's playing for their local team here, a good friend of mine, he's playing in the. Hopefully he doesn't hear this. In the retirement section of his local soccer team.
Which age bracket would that be? Because they categorize it.
In soccer, it's probably everybody above 35. No, look, I don't know, right? It's the seasoned players.
Seasoned players.
The veterans, the highly experienced team. So if you regard him as, he's a big soccer fan. He played soccer all his life. He never was in one of the major leagues. He has never seen $1 from playing soccer.
No.
So is that now failure? I would call it a big success. It's a life, playing the sport that he likes, connecting to it, having a great time with different soccer teams that he's played in the UK, in Australia. It's a very healthy way of spending your free time. It gives you a great
sense of
fulfillment, community, and also it gives you something to take your everyday frustrations and leave it somewhere sweaty on a field.
And it's the discipline of constantly showing up.
So if you now go, well, but he never made it to one of the major leagues, then it's a failure. I would call it a big success. And what a great way to spend your time. So I think we need to be a little more clear what the aim is. And if the aim is to be just a little bit better tomorrow than I was yesterday, then spending your time at that local soccer club is totally counting.
Yeah.
Totally.
What does the next 12 months look like? More of the same, incremental gains?
So to a certain degree, it will be more of the same, right? So hopefully, because the last 12 months were very successful to the degree that how we define success. And so I really hope that the next 12 months will be exactly that. I want my team to thrive on that positive momentum that we're on. I want us to have our next major release in May already, 2 months from now, almost exactly. So next weekend in 2 months, we will have the next major release. Hopefully it will be as boring as the one in February, because when it comes to actually releasing software, boring is good, really, really good. And then in that sense, I want more of the same.
Yeah.
What I would like to do much more of is to really experiment now. And when I say experiment, I don't mean experimenting with artificial intelligence and then have the solution forever sitting in that experimental stage. I want to really drive cloud-based agentic AI solutions into reality as well. And thankfully, you've invited a couple of colleagues and myself to a nice gathering here at your space the other day. So we were able to present the solution that we've created so far. Maybe for the audience, we've created an agentic solution that helps our business analysts, our subject matter experts to write business requirements much faster. It sounds simple if I put it like this, and people will probably ask themselves, well, I have a $20 per month ChatGPT license. I feel I can do this by myself. No, you can't, because the solution that you will get is much too generic.
Yeah.
It will not help a seasoned business analyst and a seasoned subject matter expert to reach that level of depth and detail that they need. So it will always feel subpar. And we've created a solution that probably takes care of 40 to 45% of the work that business analysts and subject matter experts are doing today. And
in a centralized way.
In a centralized and standardized way as well. And so also there in that field, we have created something with our teams that works and that displays real ROI, which is still quite rare at the moment. There are too many experiments that in the end are not producing return. And now that we've created something that actually creates return on that investment, I would like to do more of that. And that's what I mean when I say, because you have to start experimenting, you have to, build small proofs of concept. That is, you have to tinker a little bit with it, right? And play with it. But I really want to drive it to fruition. You have to be very quick and decisive in what to put to rest for the moment, and what to really drive to make it become a real life solution. And I would like to do more of that.
And then realistically, you've done that from a position of strength, because would you have been able to do that if the journey you're on wasn't necessarily succeeding? But I'd probably argue that it would be too much of a perceived gamble, and people would be like, why are they trying something new and innovative when we're not getting the baseline correct? So
you have to create that space around your team.
Exactly.
So you have wiggle room.
Yeah. And I talked about it at the event the other day. Like, I think it's a great story, not just about AI, but it's about empowering people to test and learn, like you say, to run hard at something, to be inquisitive, to be curious, and also just to create something that will create a compounding interest effect, rather than just, because I've talked about it a lot lately, like companies are putting pressure on people to do something with their AI. And then when they do something, they're very quickly looking at the return on investment. And it's just too sudden, too quick to measure. It's like you joining a gym, and then after a month, your wife saying, why have you got this gym membership? Like, you're not
doing anything.
You've not lost any weight. Or you've not got fitter, or you've not got more muscular in a month. And you're like, come on, give me a chance. So it's the same principle. And we're too quick to measure. And that again comes from a fearful, pressurized situation, in my view.
I know where you're getting it, but let's stay in that picture of the gym. Right? You still want to make sure that you're getting really good advice from your coaches and trainers who are running the gym. Because in general, it's not enough to have a gym membership. So next thing is you need to go. And when you go, it also doesn't help if you do all the exercises wrong. That's probably very, very counterproductive, right? So I still think that even though you cannot see the ROI immediately, you have to have a way to determine that you are on maybe not a proven way. You can try out new things, but there must be some form of early evidence that you're on a promising path.
Yeah.
Right. So the magic, I guess, the magic sauce is how does your team measure early and get an early feel for this might be something. We might be up to something. Because otherwise you will be just tinkering away at it for months, and then that doesn't create a good situation, right?
No.
So I think getting that balance right between, hey, give me a chance here. We just need more time, more money, more resources, more this and that, versus because that's basically the excuse of everyone. Everyone is selling you the same story, right? So the magic, I think, is every team that wants to be successful needs to find out ways to early measure not success, but are we on a promising path?
Yeah. And I guess probably my final question. Obviously, you got another 12 months of this roadmap. Like, from a people perspective, you mentioned obviously slow, steady, consistency. You use the word boring. How would you envisage seeing like your team continuously engaged and continuously showing up, and like what tools would you provide to, and what advice would you give to people, to get the best out of the team over a sustained period of time without changing too much?
That is an interesting question. So first of all, when I talk about boring, I want the results to be boring. I want to go live with something and it should work, right? Yeah. No roadmap will ever thrive on go lives and releases that are stumbled.
No.
And that is the kind of excitement I don't want.
That cliff edge feel.
In order to get to that boring stage, there is a lot that needs doing. So I'm not fearful that anyone will run out of things to do, and more importantly, exciting things to do. Because next, a team is working on our partner framework, where we sell our products through partnerships. And that will add another layer of complexity to what we've done so far, which is mainly our direct channel, right? And when you sell your products directly to customers, then you don't have this additional layer of complexity where you have to integrate into other IT frameworks and departments, and you have to meet their schedule, and you have to create that reliable connectivity and that ease of use, right? And also, you are not providing an insurance journey to people who are trained insurance people, right? You're giving it to people who, for example, sell cars, and they are very good at that. So now you have the next level of complexity for your team to make the journeys feasible, but easier.
Yeah.
And so there's another level of complexity that people have to work through. And I always say, if you want a challenge, there's enough. You can just tell me, and I will put you on a team where the challenges are quite high, and you can, have your go at it.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about this. There is one aspect which is around the people that were mainly concerned over the last 2 years with creating the processes and the frameworks that we are using to streamline the program and to measure success and to steer our ability to reach milestones and things like that. So basically the cleanup squad for the program. I can foresee them getting a little bit bored because we have found a very good way of working here. And there are still things you can improve, but it's probably an edge case. And, again, how much more agile do you want to become? How much more depth in planning and measuring and tracking do you want to reach? It reaches a point where it's absolutely enough and it produces good enough results. And I would really like to have these people take on some of the new stuff that we are talking about now, which is taking the solution that was built and bring it to the next level of injecting modern data solutions and AI solutions into that game, and use their abilities of streamlining the program and measuring and dashboarding and bring that into the program of work that I'm envisaging now. There is an opportunity here, and there is reason for excitement, but people have to be up for that challenge, and they have to let go of the stuff that they were good in yesterday and have to make that transition, probably for some of them, to the unknown and into that experimentation phase again.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing what the next 12 months brings.
Yeah, and also, right, if someone, say, does not want to do that, we have now a great team that knows a great deal of the new platform that we are running the company on. What a great opportunity to step out of the transformation game and into the business, because the business now naturally has a need for people who know the new platform, because the business outside of transformation has to run that platform now and also develop it further. So again, there is no failure or the notion of abandoning the transformation or giving up or anything. No, it is a very natural transition for a transformation team that is doing a good job. So if you look at transformation teams and you look at the ones that are deemed successful, they all have something in common. Over time, they make themselves no longer needed. Because a successful transformation is the one that comes to an end.
Yeah, and you don't want people standing still.
Exactly. So ideally, you are running a successful transformation. In that process, you are creating a great team of people who exactly know all the nooks and crannies of that new team, of that new solution, and naturally progress into your business as usual part of your operation. And we just recently had the farewell party for one of our highly valued team members just last week. And she's joining the business division. The business is happy because they will get a person who knows a great deal about the new platform. They can definitely use that. For her, it's a great step because she has been with the program much longer than I did. She was part of the program from the early days when success was definitely not in the cards. And after a while, you have to then really find something else to do, right? And it was it was the exact right time, and I want to create more of these opportunities for my team and for the company. That is when you get to that natural transition. That is the best. That's the best outcome for everybody.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Like I always say, that it's a great story. Really well done. It's a great.
I think it's a real good example of from so many levels about how you can really create a great team and great culture and have a collective goal that you're all striving towards, and it's just a brilliant transformation story for the market to hear. So like I said last time we caught up, I'm sure people will listen and go, wow, like how do I get involved in that? How do I become a part of that team? Because it's there's a real good feel factor I think it's created, and success breeds success, right?
Yeah.
So, thanks for taking the time in your busy schedule.
Again, thanks.
Up as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really great.
Always
Hopefully
great.
People take something from it, but
I can let me just say so. If anyone out there is listening and feels that they have a great story to tell as well, please join Adam and the great team here for a podcast. I think spreading the word, getting good and positive information and stories and narratives out there is much needed. And so I can just say it's my second podcast here with Adam. It's absolutely fantastic. You get water, you get coffee. It's you're very well taken care of, and you have a very enjoyable hour of a chat. So if you have something to tell and to say, please reach out, because I would love to listen to some of these stories myself.
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Human Element. Stay tuned for more.